So let's read the chapter 1 of the book, The Compound Effect. So the chapter 1 is called The Compound Effect in Action. Oh no, I don't know why it's so hard for me to record sometimes. Well, you have to put in the repetition every day if you want to improve. So let's read the book. You know that expression, slow and steady wins the race. You know that expression, slow and steady wins the race. Ever heard the story of the tortoise and the hare? Ladies and gentlemen, I am the tortoise. Give me enough time and I will beat virtually anybody, anytime in any competition. Why? Not because I'm the best or the smartest or the fastest. I'll win because of the positive habits I have developed and because of the consistency. And I'll win because of the positive habits I have developed and because of the consistency I use in applying those habits. I am the world's biggest believer in consistency. I am living proof that it's the ultimate key to success, yet it's one of the biggest pitfalls for people struggling to achieve. Most people don't know how to sustain it. Okay, so let me copy this part and paste it. Okay, so I do. I have my father to thank for that. In essence, he was. I do. I do. I have my father to thank for that. In essence, he was my first coach for igniting the power of the compound effect. My parents divorced when I was 18 months old, and my dad raised me as a single father. He wasn't exactly the soft, nurturing type, he was a former university football coach. And he hardwired me for achievement. Okay, so I will skip a few paragraphs. Let's read from here. And let me turn on the scroll. I had more chores or more chores than a housekeeper and gardener put together. Upon returning from school, there was always a list of instructions to greet me. Let me change the color. Let me change the color. I had more chores than a housekeeper and gardener put together. Upon returning from school, there was always a list of instructions to greet me. Pull weeds, rake leaves, sweep the garage, dust, vacuum, do the dishes, you name it. And getting behind in school wasn't tolerated, that's just the way it was. That was the original no excuses guy. That was the original no excuses guy. We weren't ever allowed to stay home from school sick unless we were actually puking, bleeding, or showing bone. The term showing bone came from his coaching days. His players knew they weren't allowed to come out of the game unless they were seriously injured. One time, his quarterback asked to be pulled out of the game. That said, not unless you are showing bone. The quarterback pulled back his shoulder pads, and sure enough, his collarbone was showing. Only then he was allowed to come off the field. I don't know what any of that means. One of Dad's core philosophies was it doesn't matter how smart you are or aren't, you need to make up in hard work what you lack in experience, skill, intelligence, or innate ability. If your competitor is smarter, more talented, or experienced, You just need to work 3 or 4 times as hard. You can still beat them. No matter what the challenge, he taught me to make up in hard work for wherever I might be disadvantaged. Miss free throws at the game, do 1000 free throws every day for a month. Not good at dribbling with your left hand, tie your right hand behind your back and dribble 3 hours a day. Behind in your math, hunker down, hire a tutor, and work like hell all summer until you get it. No excuses. If you aren't good at something, work harder, work smarter. He walked his talk he walked his talk. Well, I want to improve my English speaking, so that's why I am reading this book, but I have no clue how to improve it. I need to think harder and harder and harder about it. Well, I can read the book. I can spend an hours every day recording videos. That will definitely improve my English to some extent. So, quite a big paragraph, but I'm gonna paste it. But I wasn't given loads of instruction. From the beginning, Dad let us figure it out. He was all about taking personal responsibility. He didn't hammer on us every night about homework. We just had to show up with the results, and when you did, you were celebrated. If you got good grades, Dad took us to Pring's, an ice cream parlor where you could get 3 king banana splits. Okay, I don't want to read that. Dad's discipline served as an example for me. Dad was my idol, and I wanted him to be proud of me. I also lived in fear of disappointing him. One of his philosophies is be the guy who says no. It's, it's no great achievement to go along with the crowd, be the unusual guy, the extraordinary guy. That's why I never did drugs. He never harped on me about it, but I didn't want to be that guy who just went along because everyone else was doing it, and I didn't want to let Dad down. Thanks to Dad, by age 12, I would mastered a schedule worthy of the most efficient CEO. Sometimes I gripped and moaned I was a kid, but even then I secretly liked knowing that I had an edge over my classmates. That gave me a serious head start on the discipline and mentality it takes to be dedicated and responsible to achieve whatever I set out to achieve. It's no accident that the tagline of Success magazine is what achievers read. So that's the thing I talk about. He will constantly bring up his products into this book. Anyways, today, Dad and I joke about what an addictive overachiever he trained me to be. At 18, I was making a 6 figure income in my own business. By age 20, I owned my own house in an upscale neighborhood. By age 24, my income grew to more than 1 million a year. And by age 27, I was officially a self made millionaire with a business that brought in more than 50 million in revenue. That just about brings us to the present day because I'm not yet 40, but I have enough money and assets to last my family the rest of my life. Okay, so there are lots of ways to screw up a kid, Dad says. At least my way was a pretty good one. You seem to have done pretty well. So, while I admit that, I have had to practice sitting on my hands and being present in the moment or chilling out peacefully in a beach chair from time to time without taking a pile of business books or self improvement CDs with me. I am grateful for the success skills, blah 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 blah. I don't want to read any of that. If you are like Most people, you are not a true believer. There are lots of perfectly understandable reasons. You haven't had the same coaching and example showing you what to do. You haven't experienced the payoff of the compound effect. As a society, we have been deceived. We have been hypnotized by commercial marketing, which convinces you of problems you don't have and sell you on the idea of insta fixes to cure them. We have been socialized to believe in the fairy tale endings found in movies and novels. We have lost sight of the good old fashioned value of hard and consistent work. Hmm, well, okay, so let me copy that. I want to put something so that I can review what I actually read. You haven't experienced the payoff of compound effect. Fair enough. So let's paste this. The compound effect is the principle of reaping huge rewards from a series of small, smart choices. What's most interesting about this process to me is that even though the results are massive, the steps in the moment don't feel significant. Whether you whether you are using this strategy for improving your health, relationship, finances, or anything else for that matter, the changes are so subtle they are almost imperceptible. These small changes offer little or no immediate result. No big win. No obvious I told you so payoff, so why bother? Well, let's paste this part. Let's fix it. Let's remove the bold. How do I remove the bold? Most people get tripped by the simplicity of compound effect. Exactly. Exactly. For instance, they quit after the eighth day of running because they are still overweight. Or they stop practicing the piano after 6 months because they haven't mastered anything other than chopsticks. Or they stop making contributions to their IRA after a few years because they could use the cash and it doesn't seem to be adding up to much anyway. What they do not realize is that these small, seemingly insignificant steps, completed consistently over time. Okay, so let me paste this part and also this one. What they don't realize is that these small, seemingly insignificant steps completed consistently over time will create a radical difference. Let me give you a few detailed examples. Small, smart choices plus consistency plus time is equal to radical difference. Yes, of course. If you in Atomic Habits, James Clear says you need to know what you're doing on a regular basis. If you're making good choices, then you don't need to worry about future. You will reach your goal if you are making good choices. If you are healthy and fit but you eat junk food every now and then you are making bad choices and your future is not good. If you are unhealthy but you do not eat junk food, then your future is good. Don't worry about it. The magic penny. I don't want to read the magic penny, sorry. Three friends. Three friends. Yeah, I think this is a good one. This is a good one. Let's take three buddies who all grew up together. Three buddies who all grew up together. They live in the same neighborhood with very similar sensibilities. Each makes around 50K a year. They are all married and have average health and body weight plus a little bit of that dreaded marriage flab. Friend number one, let's call him Larry, plods along doing as he's always done. He's happy, or so he thinks, but complains occasionally that nothing ever changes. Friend number two, Scott, starts making some small, seemingly inconsequential positive changes. He begins reading 10 pages of a good book per day and listening to 30 minutes of something instructional or inspirational on his commute to work. That's too much. I mean, if you read 10 pages and listen to 30 minutes of seminars, motivational stuff, man, your life will overshoot in 2 years. I believe me, that's too much. That's not small, seemingly inconsequential, believe me. 10 pages, oh my god. Scott wants to see changes in his life but doesn't want to make a fuss over it. He recently read an interview with Dr. Mehmet Oz, again, Success Magazine, and chose one idea from the article to implement in his life. He is going to cut 125 calories from his diet every day. No big deal. We are talking maybe a cup of cereal less, trading that can of soda for a bottle of Setzler, switching from mayo to mustard. Doable. He's also started walking a couple thousand extra steps per day, less than a mile. No grand acts of bravery or effort, stuff anyone could do. But Scott is determined to stick with these choices, knowing that even though they are simple, he could also easily be tempted to abandon them. Very important. Small, consistent actions are the way to success. There is no other way. There is literally no other way because the changes need to be sustainable. Friend number three, Brad, makes a few poor choices. He recently bought a new big screen TV so he can watch more of his favorite programs. He's been trying out the recipes he's seen on the Food Channel, the cheesy carousel, casseroles, and desserts are his favorite. Oh, and he installed a bar in his family room and added one alcoholic drink per week to his diet. Nothing crazy. Brad just wants to have a little more fun. Yeah, that's like how, what do I say? But yeah, that's a very bad thing. At the end of 5 months, no perceivable difference exists among Larry, Scott, and Brad. Scott continues to read a little bit every night and listens to audios during his commute. Brad is enjoying life and doing less. Larry keeps doing as he always has. Even though each man has his own pattern of behavior, 5 months isn't long enough to see any real decline or improvement in their situations. Well, your internal situations will change, your mood, your feelings will change, but externally, yes, you won't see much difference in your life. In fact, if you charted the three man's weight, you would see a rounding error of zero. They would look exactly equal. I mean, physically maybe, but mentally, you can imagine what all those motivational material is doing to Scott's brain. His brain is flourishing. At the end of 10 months, we still can't see noticeable changes in any of their lives. It's not until we get to the end of 18th month that the slightest differences are measurable in these three friends' appearances. But at about month 25, we start seeing really measurable, visible differences. At month 27, well, the thing about Scott, one thing I would need to point out is that he's making these changes consistently every day for 25 months. It's not like one day he's doing them and another day he's not making those positive changes. If you if you sometimes do good things, sometimes you do not do them, then you are back to square one and you have made no progress. So you need to be consistent. Okay, so let's see what happened. By simply cutting 125 calories a day in 31 months, Scott has lost 33 pounds. Interesting. So 31 months are 940 days. So how many years are that? So that's rough less than 3 years. I mean, 3 years is a good period of time. Brad had only 125 more calories more a day in that same time frame and gained 33.5 pounds. Now the problem is with the math. Real life won't be like that. Maybe someday he would be eating more than 125 calories. So he might probably gain more weight. Now he weighs 67 pounds more than Scott, but the differences are more significant than weight. Scott's invested almost 1,000 hours reading good books and listening to self improvement audios. By putting his newly gained knowledge into practice, he's earned a promotion and a raise. Best of all, his marriage is thriving. Brad, he's unhappy at work and his marriage is on the rocks. And Larry is pretty much exactly where he was 2.5 years ago, except now he's a little more bitter about it. The the phenomenal power of the compound effect is that simple. The difference between people who employ the compound effects for their benefit compared to their peers who allow the same effect to work against them is almost inconceivable. It looks miraculous, like magic or quantum leaps. After 31 months or 31 years, the the person who uses the positive nature of the compound effect appears to be an overnight success. In reality, his or her profound success was the result of smart choices completed consistently over time. Well, so I think we have a better example than this from the book Atomic Habits. In the book Atomic Habits, James Clear shows us a Greek idea. It's called the Sorites paradox. So I think, yes. If you look at this, how do I make it full screen? So if you take a look at these colors, this gradient, if you make very small jump, there is no difference. There is no difference between each small jump. There is no difference between each of them. So this is how it feels like when you are living day to day. After every day, you will see no difference. But if you keep making small changes over and over, and after you look back maybe an year ago, and then you will realize how much difference you have made. But even if you are here and here, if you keep comparing yourself from who you were yesterday, there is literally no difference. The idea is that if you just keep adding one grain of sand to a heap, or I think the idea is that if you just keep removing one grain of sand from a heap, it will the heap will no longer be there. And if you just keep adding small good changes consistently, I mean, you are moving in the right direction very slowly, but you are moving in the right direction. That's the idea. No matter how small the changes are, if they are consistent, well, you will succeed. But what small changes you are going to make depends on you. The ripple effect. Okay, so I will read the ripple effect and in the next video. This is it for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.